You've held bread in your hands thousands of times, but you had no idea what it went through to get there. This is a wheat field, an ordinary landscape. But right now, inside every single ear of wheat, something is happening that scientists call molecular anticipation. Two proteins, glutenin and gliadin, sit inside each grain, separated from each other, waiting for water. They have been waiting for this moment for 300 million years. These proteins appeared on Earth before the dinosaurs. And all this time, they have had one single purpose: to find each other, bond together, and become bread. Now watch the combine harvester. One machine, 1 hour of work, 70,000 loaves. This is not advertising. These are figures from the FAO, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. One person behind the wheel, 70,000 loaves per hour. Let that sink in.
The grain is taken to the mill, and here it is literally dissected alive. A grain of wheat is made of 3 layers: the outer shell, the germ, and the core. A modern mill runs it through 20 pairs of steel rollers, each time finer, more precise. This is surgery, not crushing, a deliberate separation of layers. And here is something incredible. White flour is not white because it has been bleached. It is white because the core of the grain, the endosperm, is nearly transparent on its own. All the color, all the pigments, all the vitamins, they are in the germ, in the very part that is discarded for the sake of beautiful, refined flour. Nature hid everything valuable inside, and for 100 years, we have been deliberately throwing it away. Flour meets water. And in that very second, those same 2 proteins finally meet each other after 300 million years of waiting. They intertwine into a 3-dimensional living network. Under an electron microscope, it looks like an endless spiderweb labyrinth. Scientists call it the gluten matrix. This is the skeleton of the future loaf. Without it, the dough crumbles to dust. Now, the yeast. Pay attention. 1 gram of yeast contains 10 billion living cells. 10 billion in a pinch of powder. They begin to eat the sugar and exhale carbon dioxide. And within an hour, the dough doubles in size. And along the way, they produce more than 300 aromatic molecules, alcohols, esters, aldehydes. That is the smell of bread. It cannot be created artificially. It can only be grown, alive. The dough enters the tunnel oven, 230 degrees Celsius. And here a reaction is triggered that was discovered in 1912 and still cannot be fully described to this day. The Maillard reaction. Proteins and sugars collide under heat, and hundreds of new chemical compounds are born simultaneously. This is not caramelization. It is incomparably more complex. It is what gives the crust that color. It is what produces that smell, the one that makes a person's mouth water even through a screen. And now a fact that blows your mind. Inside the loaf at this moment, the temperature is exactly 100 degrees Celsius, and not a fraction more. As long as there is moisture, the temperature does not rise. The bread regulates itself, like a living organism. When the moisture is gone, the process stops on its own. Nature built a thermostat into the loaf. The loaf comes out of the oven and lands on a conveyor belt. Robots check its shape, weight, and crust color in a fraction of a second. A deviation of just a few grams, and the loaf is pulled off the line. The machine does not get tired, does not make mistakes, does not get distracted. The slicing blade makes up to 1,500 strokes per minute because anything less and it doesn't cut, it crushes. The bread is still warm, the crumb is still alive, and any excess pressure would destroy the structure that the yeast spent hours building. A single modern bread factory produces up to 100 tons of bread every single day. That is 150,000 loaves. They will leave in trucks before dawn and reach shelves across the entire city before you wake up. From a living grain in a field to a sealed package on a shelf, less than 48 hours. For 14,000 years, people made bread by hand, one loaf at a time over an open fire. Today, we make it at the speed of a machine, and we barely notice. Maybe it's worth pausing sometimes and just looking at what you're holding in your hands.